We are alive.
It's showtime. Welcome,
Yes.
everybody, to another episode of Secular Jihadists for a Muslim Enlightenment. This is our end of October episode. Okay, it's Halloween. It's just about to be Halloween. And this is any episode. This is a time of the month when you drive the show. It's public, it's for everybody. So if you have friends who want to join, ask them to join in and ask your questions because we're going to take questions on anything and everything. You can ask me and Armin anything you want to. And this may very well be our last episode in the Trump era, or it may not be. Armin, what's your prediction?
I mean, I
Do you
don't
have
have to
one?
predict the. Yeah, my prediction is that there is an 80% chance that Trump will lose, and a 20% chance that he will win. And
Yeah.
if he wins, I'm not wrong because there is a 20% chance that he was going to win, right? So people like this is why people don't understand. People don't understand how math probability work, right? They're like, Armin, you were wrong, and Trump won. And I'm like, yeah, 20% means that it is within the realm of possibility. You got that, morons. We got a new member. Look at this. Secular Jihadists membership is growing. We have membership now on Secular Jihadists as well. P just became a member. Do we have any other members? Guys, thank you so much. The on Secular Jihadists, the membership fund is going to be used for the person that we have hired to cut out highlights from the longer episodes. So now, if you look at Secular Jihadists YouTube channel, you can see that there are shorter because a lot of people don't watch 1 hour, 2 hour live streams. They just watch like 10-minute or 8-minute videos. And now the same person that we hired for Atheist Republic to cut out highlights. This really helps this channel grow, right? It really helps Secular Jihadists finally start growing. And because of the membership money, that's where the membership money is going to go towards. So, guys, in the live chat, please send us questions so me and Ali could respond to them. But while we wait for questions, Ali, first of all, reduce your audio so I don't get echo. Second of all, you gave me permission to show the warm-up sketch for our
Yes.
next. Yes, is that okay? Cool.
Yes.
So, for people who don't know, Atheist Republic has already finished posting our first two blasphemous art. The first one was Sexy Kali. Kali is a Hindu goddess for people who don't know. The second of all was Sita and Kali making out. Sita is Ram's wife. Ram is another Hindu goddess. Kali is also, I mentioned, is a Hindu goddess, and they were making out. That was our second blasphemous
Ram is the
art.
Hindu god.
God,
It's
sir.
male.
No. Yeah, Kali is a goddess. Sita is the wife of Hindu god Ram. Now the third one is getting ready, which is God, Hindu god Ram, or Rama, Lord Rama, making out with Prophet Muhammad. Okay? So the warm-up sketch that I'm going to show you guys is not them making out. It's just the artist's way of warming up just to see what the characters are going to look like, just to see what they're going to look like, okay? So they're not going to be making out here. It's just what Muhammad is going to be looking at, just a rough sketch of what Muhammad is going to look like and what Lord Rama, the Hindu god, is going to look like. So I'm going to show you guys, and you guys can give me feedback, okay? So there's no yeah, and this is by the way, yeah, okay. So it's really good that our next project has Muhammad in it because with all the French stuff and Muslims around the world reacting to Muhammad cartoons or Charlie Hebdo, we were focusing a bit too much on Hinduism. Now we have a little bit of Islam in our blasphemy. Okay, so ready? Everyone ready? Are you guys? Should I show it to you guys? Yes, everyone. All right. Well, you're meet. Yeah.
Yeah, and
All right.
are we going to be able to link to this in the Netflix
Be able
version?
to what?
Link to this?
You're getting.
Is my audio glitchy? Should I switch my connection?
Yeah, switch your connection.
Okay, I'll be back in a minute.
Wait, I have to wait for Ali to show this to you guys.
No, start showing it. I'll be back.
Okay. All right. Okay, I'll show you. All right, guys, ready? 1, 2. There it is. What do you guys think? So this is Muhammad, and this is Muhammad, and this is Rama. This is what they're gonna look like. You guys like? Let me know. Give us some feedback. So they're not making out here. Oh, you guys did the drum rolls. You guys like it. Look at these chats. Hussein is saying, "Oh my God." AJ is saying, "Damn." Elif saying they're handsome. Katie saying, "Woohoo." Deborah saying,
They
"Sexy." Ma
are
saying,
hot.
"I
Yeah,
love it." Yeah. Suzanne saying, "I
they
want
are
them
pretty good.
both to be my boyfriends." Woohoo. Okay. Okay. Katie saying the character sketches look dope as F. No wonder he. Wait, no. What the hell?
Wonder he had 12 wives.
Yeah.
No, this
Oh,
is
yeah.
great.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
wondering if you should have. I actually really like the warm up thing. I'm wondering if you really want. It should. It would be cool if there was a little mini comic strip type thing. You know, where you had a
Well,
little bit of foreplay. I kind of want them to, get acquainted with each other before they actually start making out. I feel like it's way too much. Wham bam, thank you, ma'am. Few. I
yeah,
don't know.
well, this art this is expensive, Ali. Like we have to like this is why this is where our Patreon money is going, right? So
Fair enough.
we're gonna have comic strips once we make more money, right? So, people are saying choke me in the live chat. Guys, I love you guys. Thank you for funny memes. They look sexy. Good. Okay, so far people love it. Okay, cool. All right, let's stop this now. Um, I'm gonna post it. I can't post it on my. I'm gonna post it on the Ali. By the way, given that how many times my Twitter went down over all this stuff, we made a new Twitter account for our blasphemous art projects, right? So what we do is like we post it initially there, and then we'll retweet it with my personal account and Atheist Republic account. So we will post this warm-up draft to get more feedback from people there. Um, yeah. So, but again, this is not the final. They're not even kissing here. They're gonna be kissing in the final art. This is, but just so you guys know what they're gonna be looking like. So this is great. By the way, the artists that we have so talented. You guys like it's we're gonna be working with this artist forever. Like there's gonna be so much blasphemy coming out. Ali, have you ever seen anybody do blasphemy better than Atheist Republic?
No, I think
Like
you guys are definitely leading it. And
yes,
I have to tell everybody that, the reason we're doing this, and first of all, it's a lot of fun, but the reason we're doing this is people are getting murdered. Like in
yeah,
France, there's 2 people so far have been beheaded because of cartoons. When that kind of thing starts happening, we have to blaspheme more. We have to do this stuff more. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's insane, what's going on. And today, like I just heard, and Susanna told me that Justin Trudeau was talking about how free expression has limits.
yeah,
While he's talking about the cartoons and the killings in France, I mean, this is complete victim blaming, right? It's just complete victim blaming. I mean, they're making France out to be the villain. They're like, well, what are the Muslims going to feel like in France? I mean, it's not the Muslims who are being attacked by terrorists. I mean, that's not what's happening right now. What happened here is that there were, these are secular people who have been attacked in the name of Islamic jihad, right? That is a culprit. It's not the other way around. So yeah, Mars is saying Trudeau's full of shit. Yeah, on this he is. And I'm a supporter of Trudeau. Everybody knows that, but there are a couple of things where we are going to call him out, and this is definitely one of them. This is just a completely ridiculous thing to say in the wake of
yeah,
these killings in France.
yeah. I voted for him, but
Yeah, so
this
we
is
got to
nonsense.
spread the risk. We got to spread the risk. The more of us do it, the
Hmm.
less people there are to target. Blasphemy
Wait,
is super important.
we are already on Spotify. Somebody's saying, when will you upload the episode on Spotify? We're already on
Yeah,
Spotify.
you should
What
be
are you
able to
guys
find
talking
us on
about?
Spotify.
Yeah. Um.
Oh, James Lowerman. Yeah, so this is he's saying yes. By the way, this is James Lowerman. I got banned from Facebook for calling Islam piece of shit religion or something like that. Well, you wouldn't have been banned from Facebook if you called Catholicism a piece of shit religion, or
Right.
Scientology, or Mormonism, or anything else like that. Maybe Judaism, yes. Maybe Hinduism. I don't know, but there is a double standard.
By the way, Ali's audio is really choppy, but he keeps promising us that he's gonna fix it. So I don't know when he's gonna fix it, but it will get fixed at some point, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys.
Uh, yeah, Hossein is saying, Armin, what kind of reaction are you expecting from this Muhammad drawing in the current climate? I don't know, just the usual death threats, I guess, here and there. I would usually go through phases of getting death threats from Muslims and then getting death threats from Hindus. This would be the first time I might be getting it from both of them at the same time. So it would be interesting to see how that was like. We did see some Muslim Hindu unity because when Hindus got really angry, they started reporting my accounts, and then some Muslims actually started joining in on that, even though they hate each other's guts. They started there was this Muslim who was giving the Hindus like some code for them to like mass report my accounts. I was like, wow, this is the Muslims are giving like that, like they were giving the Hindus the munitions they need to take over. Like, wow, this you guys are actually collaborating. It's very interesting. So I think the collaboration is going to be more now when this comes out. I mean, it's going to be interesting. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, the goal is for it to eventually to die out. Like eventually, we're hoping that we release things. We're not going to stop even then because these cartoons are just so beautiful, right? But the goal is to get to
Normalization.
normalization. Like we want to get to a point where we release one of our cartoons and people are going to be like, there's not that much of a reaction. And I bet you when we get to the point when there's not that much of a reaction, people are like, haha, Armin, look, you want to get a reaction, but nobody cares anymore. But I'm like, yeah, that was the entire point, you idiots. Like, I'm pretty sure that's gonna happen.
Yeah, that is the entire point. Like, we don't want the reaction. We want to be able to do this stuff until there is no reaction, and just
Right.
until people just look at it the way that they look at, Moses cartoons or anybody making fun of, or when you have a Jewish comedian who goes on stage and makes religion jokes, and no one
Right.
cares. No one cares. Right? That's where we want to be. That's where this should be.
Right.
So, objective
But
reality is saying it's unprecedented. This is the first time any nation state has owned blasphemy against Islam for its values. Yeah.
yeah, that's a good point.
And then, so,
Actually, let me
second,
see.
John, so which one is better for religion, holy crab or holly crab?
I don't know what that means.
I have no idea what this means, but whatever you're smoking, I want some of it. Stony
That's what I got.
Lonesome is saying thoughts on Glenn Greenwald and his views on Islam. Oh, just if you want to know, you can just read my book. I mean, we've got this. There's a term called greenwalding, right? Which is, I mean, you can actually look that up. This is his views on Islam, and he's been derided for them for a very long time. But the bigger news, Armin, did you hear about this? Glenn
What?
Greenwald resigned from his
Oh
own
yeah,
paper, his own
yeah,
The Intercept, which he founded himself.
yeah.
He
Why did he
resigned
do that? I saw the headline, but I didn't read the news on it. What was the
because
reasoning
he
again?
was wanted to talk about the Hunter Biden story, which
Uh,
nobody can verify because there's no evidence, and apparently the evidence, even Tucker Carlson lost the evidence. He says the
yeah, yeah. I saw
FedEx
that he
people
lost
stole it.
the
So
dog. The dog ate his
dog
homework.
ate the evidence. So
Yeah.
so now they're telling him, they're like, well, we're a respectable news organization, and we don't want to. I mean, even Fox News passed on the story because there wasn't credible evidence. So he's like, we want to retain our credibility, and he's like, no, why can't I? And he has become quite a bit of a conspiracy theorist recently. So I guess he wasn't the right fit. Maybe you can go join Infowars now.
All right, we
Um,
need to answer now. The questions are now coming in, so we need to answer them before they pile up. Okay, so
okay, Musgal is saying, do you guys like horror films? If so, which ones? Armin, do you?
I not a there's not a film that I is my favorite when it comes to horrors, but um there's a TV series by Netflix. The Haunting of Hill House was the best horror that I've ever seen. That's my favorite. So it's not a movie, but it is a TV series. I think it's
Was it
by
like,
Netflix.
by good, you mean it was like really, really good, or was it actually scary?
But it was scary, but it also had the story was great as well. Usually, like horror is like, man, I can't in the story is not very well written. But Haunting of Hill House, like even if you're not scared, I mean, it does have scary moments, okay? but like the story is, oh my god, it's so good, it's so good. Like I had to watch it twice. That's how good it was. The Haunting of Hill House,
But
one of
is
the
it like
best.
super? Is it very supernatural? Are there a lot of supernatural elements in it?
No,
Well,
it
it's a
teases
horror
you.
movie.
Yeah, of course it has supernatural in it, but it
Yeah.
doesn't like overwhelm you with supernatural. Like it's kind of like, you know how I like Game of Thrones because it was like it's just like touch of supernatural here, there, like just comes
Yeah, the
unexpectedly.
fantasy.
So
Yeah,
that's exactly like that. So it's pretty good. It's
that's cool.
really good. Yeah,
I'll
watch
check
it.
it out.
Yeah. Do
All
you have
right.
any?
The favorite horror movies? I'm not a big horror fan, actually.
I
Just
wasn't either until I saw this.
yeah, there are sort of rare things where I'll watch it, where I'll watch stuff, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Right. Katie.
Katie is saying, how would you educate people on FOS who have a really distorted
Free,
idea of what?
freedom of speech.
Oh, freedom of speech. Who have a really distorted idea of what FOS even means. So, hint is South Asia, also other parts of the world, apparently. It's frustrating to debate them. So, I have an answer to this, but Armin, what do you think?
I mean, I haven't figured out anything else other than explaining it to them over and over again. But again, I have been overwhelmed with how stupid people are when it comes to understanding freedom of speech. Like they just don't get it. Like they keep. I mean, you have no idea, Ali, how many responses we have gotten from people that we don't get to complain to people saying stupid shit because it's their freedom of speech. They don't like they think like we're being hypocrites. So they think like they're using like because we stand for freedom of speech, and they think that they can use this against us because that means that we get they get to say whatever they want and we should be silent because they have the right to say it. They think like freedom of speech means that we shouldn't respond to anything that they say. That's their understanding of it, right? So they come and attack us, threaten us, go after our families, do the most disgusting things, the most vile. They go after. I'm telling you, going after. I can't even say it though. They do things that is like so deplorable, and then we highlight it. We don't tell them that they don't have the right to do it. We don't ban it. We don't do anything. We just highlight it and call it disgusting and vile and so stupid. And they're like, "Ha, you guys are hypocrite. What happened? It's my freedom of speech. It was my freedom of speech." Like, yeah, nobody's banning you. Nobody's stopping you. We're just highlighting it. We're calling you out. That's what we're doing. And they think and no matter how, they think they got us. They think that, hey, what happened to, they think that they're going around to their circles and they're showing like, look at their hypocrisy. They think they believe in freedom of. They insult our gods and goddesses, and then when we respond to them, they respond as well as if so they don't believe in freedom. They're hypocrites. They don't believe in freedom of speech. They have no idea what this means, right? They don't understand that what we are against is government banning any executing people for imprisoning, torturing, murdering people in the street for cartoons. That's what we're against. Okay, if we draw Muhammad, or if we draw your gods and goddesses, and you don't like it, you have every right to say that you don't like it. Nobody's stopping you from saying you don't like it. You could come out and say like, "Hey, I'm offended by this. I don't like it." Nobody's that if you saying that is allowed. Nobody's, that does not violate our freedom of expression. You get to you could protest us. You could tell us you don't like it. You could go and cry about it on Twitter. You are allowed to do that. Okay. That's not what that's not what we're fighting. We're not fighting for a world where we get to draw Muhammad and you should shut the fuck up about it. No, you get to say everything you get to say anything you want. You morons, you fucking morons. Anyway, sorry. I'm supposed to not be swearing, but I can't do it.
Oh,
Anyways,
too late.
yeah.
Yeah, no. My thought on that is there are two things I have to say. Is like first one is that by example, like people learn by example. The best way to drive home what freedom of speech really means is to act it out and to show by example what it means. Like when you practice it in practice, and people already see that this idea of freedom of expression, freedom of speech, people have generally learned it around the world from the U.S. The U.S. practices it. They show what it's like. Everybody sees their media. Everybody sees their news. The way that they can rake their leadership, their presidents, and everything over the coals, and and there's no legal repercussion for it. And that's something that's refreshing that everybody else models. So seeing it by example and then emulating it and being inspired by it, that's one thing. The second thing is I actually think we need more storytelling, like fiction storytelling around freedom of speech. I don't know if many of you saw The People versus Larry Flint. It's a movie from the 90s. It was about Larry Flint, who was the founder of Hustler magazine, and he'd published a cartoon where Jerry Falwell was in bed with his mother or something like that. It was hilarious and tasteless, and Edward Norton's in it. And the whole thing was about how, speech may be offensive and may be tasteless, but it should not be legislated. Like, that's the idea. In my book, I wrote about it. They say, well, freedom of speech does not mean the freedom to offend. That's bullshit.
It does.
Freedom of speech is the freedom to offend. That's what it is. Like, the whole point of it was to be able to say stuff. If you couldn't say offensive things that would have people, you wouldn't even need the term freedom of speech. You wouldn't even require it. Would be redundant. So
it's like the freedom to say the things that does not offend freedom to say the things that do not offend doesn't even need defending, because it doesn't offend. Why would anybody have a problem with it? Why would we need laws to defend, to say the things that nobody's offended by? You don't even need to defend it. If nobody's offended by it, you don't need. Nobody's gonna challenge it because they're not offended. Obviously, the whole point of freedom of speech is to defend the speech that offends.
Yes. Okay, Armin. So, Armin is very passionate about this, and rightly so. But that's it. Just remember, if there's anything you take home from this, freedom of speech is the freedom to offend. Otherwise, there'd be no point. So, next question from Aga. Hopefully, we'll get enough blasphemous art to make a calendar for 2022. That's a great idea. A calendar for 2022. Blasphemy calendar. There you go.
There you go. Fantastic. Okay.
That's an amazing idea.
I'm only highlighting people who are tagging Secular Jihadists. So if I didn't highlight your question, make sure you tag Secular Jihadists, because that's the only way I see it, okay?
Yeah, on Facebook too, or?
Yeah, everywhere. Facebook and YouTube, yes.
All right,
and Ali, if you've seen something that I didn't notice, let me know so I can highlight it.
Okay, so Mutzgal is saying, why is having problems with Muslims?
I have no idea what that means. Next one. Catholic.
Oh, so Catholic traditionalists. Are you both atheists or Muslims?
Atheist.
We're atheists. Yeah.
Okay, that was easy. Soha is reminding everybody to tag Secular Jihadists if they want us to. Oh, there we go. Oh, another Muska, and then we go to P. What
would happen? Okay.
What should
happen with France regarding their feelings towards Muslims?
I don't know what that means. Okay, let's go to P.
Yeah. Okay, did any of you watch that awful movie Antebellum? I suspect it's pseudo-wokish. No, I didn't. I haven't seen it.
Should we watch it?
I don't know. If it's like one of those political movies trying to push it, like right now, I've just had enough. Like, I just want movies about regular shit. There's so much nonfiction on social media and everywhere else, and books and articles everywhere, that I just like my fiction to be fiction. Okay, Murtad Skeptic is asking, what is the most effective way we as individuals can praise France and help change the sentiment so that more countries can follow in their example? Can I say something really quick on this? If you come from a Muslim background, and just going by Murtad's stick, I'm assuming that you do, go out and talk about.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay. Go ahead. Say it again.
Yeah, if you come from a Muslim background, right? If you're ex-Muslim or liberal Muslim, whatever, go and speak out. Right? Let your voice, especially with the way that you look and who you are, those are the voices that we need. We need people from those communities to come out and say that we don't stand by this. This does not represent who we are, and this is not something that we want to be known for. This is something that we want to move away from. And I actually encourage, I know that we want to embrace the whole ex-Muslim label and everything, but I encourage people to say, even if you're an ex-Muslim, just for messaging purposes, I encourage people to say that I am from a Muslim background. I am from a Muslim family, right? Which is, you could be an ex-Muslim. Say, I'm from a Muslim background, Muslim family, and I don't support this. I oppose this, right? Mm. So that way you avoid the whole thing. Well, he's ex-Muslim anyway. He doesn't have any credibility. No, talk about your background, where you come from, and then just denounce it.
I actually have. I don't know. I hope it's okay for me to say this here, but if I can help amplify your voices. If you have anything to say, if you go to atheistrepublic.com and leave a voicemail there about supporting France, right?
Yeah.
Or reviews. So if you go to atheistrepublic.com, there's a green button right on the homepage, and you can click the green button, and you can record your voice. Okay. If I collect enough voicemails from everybody to make its own episode, I'm gonna release a Atheist Republic voicemail episode dedicated to voicemails from people around the world that are talking about how France right now needs support, right? How we need to stand with France, and how we need to stand with freedom of expression and blasphemy. Okay, so send me enough audio messages to make that its own episode, and I will amplify your voices on Atheist Republic's YouTube channel and podcast, right? So again, go to atheistrepublic.com, homepage, hit the green button, leave your voicemails. I only can publish the ones that are actually good, okay? So sorry if I don't if you say something that is not very interesting or not as, just show your support for blasphemy and freedom of speech and France, and we'll make a nice episode out of it on Atheist Republic, okay? So that's me just like making it easier for you guys to have a bigger audience than what that you might have. Okay,
That's
if
right.
you already have a bigger audience, just use it. Okay, where were we? Okay, here, Hussein.
Next.
Yeah, Hussein Rahman.
You don't want to go to the objective reality one after?
Objective Reality reposted the question with the tag.
Okay. So we'll get to that later.
We get it
Okay.
to when he tagged Atheist Republic.
Okay, we'll leave that to you then. Okay, Hussein Rahman is saying, are the recent sanctions from the USA on Iran concerning to you guys? Do you think the USA could get caught into another war in the Middle East? Armin, what do you think?
I think the sanctions are a way to avoid war, because if you don't have sanctions, what are you going to do? You're going to use war. Like, you have two. What weapons do you have? You have either war or sanctions. So I'd rather you do use sanctions instead of war. So, I think, yeah, if you want to avoid war, use other weapons, use other tools you have against forcing another country into not violating its human rights obligations, and those are sanctions. Okay, so yeah, more sanctions, less war, I would say. What do you think, Ellie?
I agree with you, but I want to ask you about this diplomacy approach, like the treaty that they worked on and then they signed, and then the U.S. kind of tore it up afterwards, the new administration. Now you have another election happening. Do you think Iran is going to get into any other treaty afterwards?
So it seems
potential?
like, okay, so right now it seems like it's very unpopular for them to make a deal with the United States, because the last deal that they made was thrown away by the United States. So it seems like it's, and the Ayatollahs, I'm hearing a bit echoey. Is there a way to reduce my audio?
I'll mute myself.
Oh. It seems so the Ayatollah kind of danced on the grave of the deal so much. I mean, they loved it. The fundamentalists in Iran, they loved it that Trump threw away the deal, because they were like doing an "I told you so" dance to all the Iranian people. They tell, like, look, we told you the Americans cannot be trusted. Look, we told you that we can't negotiate with Americans. Look, this is why we need to, become strong, and there's no way around this. Like, we can't be friends with these people, right? The only language that these the Americans understand is the language of force and power, and we just have to build our military, and this is why we need to meddle around outside of our borders, is because that's how you are influenced around the region. It makes them it's the only way for them to actually take you seriously, right? However, that was a few years ago. What has happened since is that Trump has put such devastating sanctions on Iran that they're suffocating, right? It's becoming really, really tough, right? And they want to act tough, and they want to act like these sanctions have no impact on them, but it is having an impact on them. The people are desperately angry, and they have been trying to, like, the people that are suffering because of these sanctions, the government has been trying to make the anger go towards Washington, but it's not. It's going towards the Ayatollahs, right? It's going towards the regime. The people are not blaming the United States for the hardship, as they're blaming Iranian politicians. Like and they are scared. They're really scared because these protests is happening. The protests against the government in Iran is happening with shorter gaps between them than before, right? So you had like once a couple of years you had protests. Now it's like happening, a couple times every year, and every time it's getting a little bit more brave and more openly anti-Khamenei. It seems like it's getting worse and worse, and they're afraid of what the next one is going to be and how extreme it's going to be, right? And because a lot of people, the more and more people have less to lose. Like a lot of people have lost everything, and because they have lost everything, they don't care. A lot of them don't even care about dying anymore, right? So again, they're afraid, and they said when the deal went away, the Ayatollahs were saying there's no way we're going to do a deal with the United States ever again. But now it seems like they're so desperate that even though they were grandstanding and acting like they would never do a deal with the United States, they're kind of like hinting that they might. And that shows their desperation, right? So they're hoping that Biden will win, and if Biden will win, it seems like they're preparing the religious fundamentalists in Iran that are saying there's no way we're gonna. Even Khamenei is kind of like pushing some narratives out there that Khomeini did the deal with Iraq with Saddam. So that's one thing, and Rouhani is talking about Imam Hassan and how he did the deal with Muawiyah instead of going to war with him. So they're like not saying it, but hinting to it.
The priming and everybody for it.
Yeah, but even then, even these hinting to it is making a lot of fundamentalists in Iran angry. Like even just touching on it, they're already like. I think they're testing the waters because even this is how divisive the situation is. There are a lot of people in Iran that are more fundamentalist than Khamenei himself. They're more radical, right? So Khamenei has to please them as well because those are his only supporters right now, right? So if Khamenei comes and talks about Khomeini had to do a peace deal with Saddam, they're like, what the heck? Wait, what? Are you suggesting that we're going to do a deal with the United States now? Like after telling us all that we will never do a deal with them? So even teasing the idea, like even suggesting the idea is making people go crazy. So it's going to be very interesting of how, because they do need to do a deal with the United States, but it's very unpopular on all sides. So how they're going to play around with this is going to be very interesting. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Sounds good. That's actually really, I'm just really curious to see how that turns out. Okay. So I think the next one's,
where is the next one?
Muscal 1052, the one that we were tagged.
I'm looking for it. 1050. Sorry. There we go. Found it.
Yeah, so Muscal is saying, do you guys think the U.S. will become a theocracy now that the Supreme Court is conservative leaning?
No.
I don't think it's going to become a theocracy, because they still have to interpret the Constitution. I am also really curious to see what the Democrats are going to do once they get into power. If they get into power, I mean, they most likely will, but, hey, 2016, #never forget. So what Muscal is talking about here is the Amy Coney Barrett, right, who's like a fundamentalist Catholic nut job who wanted to, who thinks that the purposes of people's legal careers is to build the kingdom of God in the U.S. is now on the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court is now a 6-3 conservative majority. A majority of the Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court, actually thinks that same-sex marriage should not be legal. A majority of them think that abortion rights should be repealed. A majority of them think that the church-state separation, right, is misinterpreted, and it's too stark. So we are at a point where a lot of people are scared. Like, is this the beginning, the Handmaid's Tale, where things start slowly and the dominants start falling? I think a lot of these things will go away, like abortion rights and all that stuff. But I do think the Democrats are going to be very aggressive if they get into power with adding more Supreme Court justices, potentially, taking additional measures to make sure that they can change the way that the court works. I think the way the court works is going to be a really, really big issue in the future because it's already lost a lot of credibility, the way the court is. Last thing I want to say about the U.S. Supreme Court, a majority of the justices, 5 of the 9 Supreme Court justices, These are the ultimate authority in the United States when it comes to anything, right? And they're unelected, and 5 of the 9 were appointed by presidents who lost the popular vote, who were elected by a minority of the population. And they got George W. Bush and Donald Trump, both of whom were elected because of the Electoral College, not because they got most votes. 5 out of 9. Next question.
Okay,
Unless you have
Afshin.
something to say about it.
No, because we need to move on. So
Afshin Sharg is saying, on the topic of freedom of speech, do you think Trump would really be able to make flag burning illegal in the United States?
So he would never be able to, but just saying that is already extremely devastating to Enlightenment values, okay? So I don't think Trump would ever be able to make flag burning, would have ever been able to make flag burning illegal. But just even just suggesting the idea from such a high position of authority and power has consequences not just in the United States but globally. You have the country that is supposed to be the leading champion of Enlightenment value. You have the highest authority in that country all of a sudden coming out and saying that flag burning should be illegal. Think about what that means globally. Think about how many people, how many anti-free speech advocates, how many Islamic activists, how many Hindutva are going to use that as narrative to say like, look, see, even the president of the United States, the country that has the First Amendment, the country that you guys keep using as an example that is supposed to be a role model of freedom of speech, even they get it that there should be some limitation to freedom of expression. Even they have some things that are sacred to them and things that hurts their fifis so much that they think like, oh, that's the limit. There should be a limit. There should be a limit based on people's hurt feelings. Again, the narrative is going to this was a major blow to advocacy for freedom of expression. Even though he's never going to be able to do that, it was a major blow to advocating freedom of expression. So fuck Trump for even suggesting that. But
and I want to say 2 really quick sentences on this. First of all, could it be illegal if Trump gets reelected and the U.S. Supreme Court, the way it is right now, and if he gets another couple of potential nominees, then it actually could become illegal. The second thing I want to say,
really, with the First Amendment, because you really think you could with the First Amendment?
It comes down to the way that they interpret it, right? And the second thing, it really comes down to the way they interpret it. And then the second thing, I'm not saying it will. I don't think it will, but it could potentially. Because, the Supreme Court's the ultimate authority. The second thing is the U.S. flag stands for the right of people to burn it. Right? The U.S. flag represents the ideas that allow people to burn the U.S. flag. Right. That's what it is supposedly a symbol of. So It would be just completely ironic and idiotic, both. To make flag burning illegal. It would miss the whole point of the flag in the first place.
That's why when Trump said that, I said that the most American thing to do right now to honor United States and to honor what United States stands for and to honor what the U.S. flag stands for, the best thing to do at that time would have been to burn the American flag. Yeah. I suggested that, and people think I was being radical. I mean, I am, but for good reason.
Nothing wrong with being radical.
Well, actually, no. Susanna said don't use that word, so never mind. Qasim is saying any movie or TV series about enlightenment. No. Do you know any? Oh, actually, I don't. I think there is. What was it?
I have a movie that I love, and I've watched it many times. It's called The Man from Earth. Okay, it's not about enlightenment, but it's about. It's just a really great movie. It's about skepticism, and you could say it's about the Enlightenment in a way. But The Man from Earth, I think it's actually available on Vimeo. It was an independent movie that was made. It's almost like a stage production. The whole thing happens in one scene, but it is also kind of science fiction-y. But yeah, I would totally watch that. But Enlightenment values overall, I don't know. There's a lot of movies about science. And the scientific that endow, like Contact. I mean, the novel that Carl Sagan wrote, right? Contact, Matt McConaughey, Jodie Foster, really good movie. So
Maybe John Adams by HBO TV series comes a little bit close, but I don't think so that much. I do think that there should be a movie about Voltaire's life or a HBO TV series because a lot of people don't understand. Voltaire's life was pretty interesting. Like it's not just his writings that was interesting. Like if you actually read his story, that does need to be like a lot of people actually get bored of actually studying these values and the philosophy behind it. So storytelling is actually an effective way of sharing these values instead of like telling people the philosophy behind it. And I always felt like, oh, but these Enlightenment philosophers probably had boring lives, and I'm so sad that we can't actually use their personal life stories as a way to promote these ideas. Until I read Voltaire's life story, I was like, holy crap, they don't have boring lives. They have extremely interesting lives. So why don't like that should be a movie, and the movie could be used as an excuse to promote some of these ideas. So I do think there needs to be a movie on Voltaire himself. I mean,
yeah,
when you think Enlightenment values, the main person that comes to your mind is Voltaire. So I think Voltaire should be
yeah.
celebrated.
I just can't stress it. The next step for the secular movement, for the atheist movement, for the ex-Muslim movement, the next step needs to be to go into the arts, to create TV series like fiction TV series, fiction movies, write novels instead of nonfiction books and memoirs. Like, and I'm talking about myself as well. Do stand-up comedy, go into music, talk about your experiences, write about them in a personal way. Like, those are the things that we need to start doing. I think that is the next phase of the movement, and like anybody who's doing that, I'm absolutely willing to work with. I think it'd be amazing. The Maverick is saying, shouldn't we encourage people to be tolerant, like extremist religions, and also to be respectful, like blasphemers?
What? No.
Well, he's saying, should we do both things? Like, should we say, okay, hey, listen, religious guys, don't chop off people's heads for drawing cartoons, and people who are drawing cartoons, try to be respectful to the religion. He's saying, can we do both?
No, because it's missing the entire point. We could teach religious extremists to be disrespectful to us as an alternative to them to spilling our blood over their street. Like we could show them like, look, we welcome you being disrespectful to us, because if we want them to be, if the okay, so this is like a threat. This is like, hey, as if they equating the two with each other. Like,
Yeah.
this sounds to me like you were justifying the spilling of blood because you're disrespectful. So I don't. This is to me like, saying like, hey, we will stop the intolerance the moment you are respectful to our ideas. And I'm like, no, go fuck yourselves. We're gonna be we do not. If your tolerance comes at the expense of us being respectful to your ideas, that's not a negotiation. That's a surrender. That's a submission to your ideas and your values.
Right.
You don't. How about this? How about you go fuck yourselves, and we get to say whatever we want, and you don't spill our blood? How about try responding to us the same way we're responding to you? How about be disrespectful to us? Just try that instead. But go on, Ellie.
Yeah, so I want to give an analogy to show how absurd this idea is. Okay, and it is. I know the problem is it sounds really good. Hey, dude, be one side, be respectful, the other side, be tolerant. This is how absurd it is. It's like telling someone, hey, how about rapists just stop raping? But then, the women who get raped, you wear a hijab once in a while. When you're walking in front of a man, just cover yourself up, right? Wear decent clothes. Don't try to entice them. Both sides can do this. The rapist can, try not to rape, and then you can also help not get them to rape. It's an absolutely absurd idea to make an equivalence over here. Remember, what blasphemers are doing is drawing cartoons, right? They're writing things, they're doing podcasts, they're saying things. What the extremist religions are doing are they're beheading people in broad daylight in the middle of the street in front of a school. Okay, that's what they're doing. Those are the two things they're dealing with. This is not equal at any at any level whatsoever. It just isn't.
Right. I mean, another analogy would be, imagine if your wife was disrespectful to you, and she didn't like she swore at you or she said something very disrespectful to you, and then as a response you started beating the crap out of her, right? You give her some bruises, and then you go and then she goes and complains to a judge or something, and the judge is like, okay, I have a solution. How about the husband stops beating the wife, but also maybe the wife should also adjust her tone. Maybe you should be a little bit more polite to your husband. I was like, no, I think the judge and everybody else should join the wife at fucking being disrespectful to this husband. Like, what are you fucking talking about? Like, are you serious? Like, oh, you're both siding it. Oh, I think both sides were wrong. Oh yeah, wife was disrespectful and she used a swear word, but also the husband was like beating the crap. I guess both were at fault here. No, fuck that shit. Sorry,
I think the point's been made. Okay, so objective reality is saying, do you think Islam was deliberately designed as a military doctrine by medieval Arabs to recruit soldiers and conquer the world?
No. It just ended up being like that. Again, this is very much like evolution, the evolution of memes and the evolution of genes. This is something very similar to about them, right? There are things in evolution that survive because they work. Nobody planned it out. Nobody planned out to design an eye for animals to be able to see. It just survived because it ended up working. When it comes to the evolution of memes, it works the same way. Nobody said like, "Hey, let me put this idea in here and this." Muhammad, even if not Muhammad, whoever came up with Islam, whoever came up with these ideas, whoever started these ideas, they had no fucking idea that it's going to become a world religion one day. They had no idea. I could guarantee. I almost can
like Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook. He was just doing a thing, like, for he didn't know that he'd be called to Congress every 2 days to testify. But I actually have another take on this. So I think it depends on which stage of Islam you're talking about, because Muhammad, one of the things I disagree with is when people say, well, Muhammad was a warlord and Jesus was this peaceful like hippie. The thing is, the Quran has Meccan surahs and it has Medinan surahs. The Meccan surahs are all about humanity, feeding the orphans. They're like, oh, it's very sort of hippie-like, very Jesus-like. And then the Medinan surahs are more political. Right now, this is at the point where Muhammad has actually gained some power. He's got a treaty with the people in Medina, and he's now got an army, and now they're beginning to start this whole political statesmanship thing. So Islam is actually both, but initially when it was conceived, if the narrative of Muhammad conceiving it is true, then no, it wasn't initially thought of that way. It was actually just as hippie-like as Christianity was. But it just went viral. It took off, and within his lifetime, he was able to transform.
Allegedly, Islam. To be fair, Islam as we know it today did not even exist at the time of Muhammad. Islam, most of it, there's 2 stages. There's 3 stages of the evolution of Islam. One, whatever ideas the Christian cult that it seemed like Islam was before the Umayyad turned into something else. And then during the initial phase of the Umayyad dynasty, it took most of the shape of what we recognize as Islam today. But then also people like Ghazali and Abbasid and other people during the Abbasid dynasty, they made it even closer. So again, the phases that Islam went through, most of what we recognize of what it is Islam today was built during the Umayyad and Abbasid dynasty. Muhammad had nothing to do with it. So there's that. I do want to respond to this. I do want to respond to this question by rephrasing it first. Okay. So the question is,
can you read it the way it is? Yeah.
Yeah. So the actual question is, are either of you brave enough to debate a Christian, namely Darth Dawkins or Mr. Badman? Okay, so I'm going to rephrase the question it would be more accurate if you ask, are either of you bored enough to debate a Christian, namely Darth Dawkins or Mr. Batman? And I can tell you, it doesn't take any bravery because I have debated Christians many times. But if I wanted, and I did recently, I did one with, what was his name? I forgot his name.
I don't know. They're all the same.
Yeah, I did. Just search Armin Navabi debate Christian. It should show up. Okay, there's a whole bunch of them. Yeah, they're all the same, and it doesn't take any bravery because they're all extremely ridiculous. Anybody with average IQ should be able to crush them. But yeah, go on.
Can I explain something about this? So whenever we're talking about debating any kind of religious person, the Christians, or when we debate Muslims, they come up with this idea that, okay, well, look at this verse, look at this idea, but we're like, let's just go back to the fundamentals. Okay, look at the fundamental story. Virgin gives birth, talking snake, eat the apple, and you come down. Let's just talk about that and stick to it and talk about how real that is. They never want to go back to basics because they know the basics are bullshit. Okay, so this is the problem. It's like debating something. It's like, for example, you are. I say you're a unicornologist. You believe that unicorns are essentially, your religion is unicornology, right? And you are talking to me like, why don't you come and debate me? I want you to tell me why, I think that green unicorns make a lot more sense than blue unicorns. And then my point is that, hey, unicorns don't exist. First, show me where the unicorns are in the first place, right? That's what it is. You get bogged down into the details, but they never want to go back to the basics. And that's the reason that they're all the same.
Right. Ali, the questions are now gathering speed, so we need to be able to do them very fast.
Very fast.
Of them, like really short answers.
But yeah, but it also depends on the question. Some of the questions are,
Yeah.
they'd have a longer thing. So, and we promised that we could ask.
Okay, why is Turkey allowed to be a member of NATO? Because Turkey is a country with massive military influence, and geographically they're very influential, and it would be very strategically, it makes a lot of sense for NATO to be for Turkey to be an ally, especially given the position of Turkey being between Europe and Russia, which was the main reason why we even had NATO to begin with. So those are all the reasons. I think. Should we go to the next one, Ali? Is that okay?
Yeah. So Kel's saying, I tried using some approaches discussed with Anthony on your Street Epistemology podcast, and you're talking about Anthony Magnabosco.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys think it actually moves the needle with people who have differing views?
I think it moves the needles mostly if you're talking one-on-one with somebody and you're just trying to focus on changing the opinion of a person. I don't think it works effectively when you're debating somebody and you're trying to change the opinion of the audience.
Yes.
So I think like if you're debating somebody and you don't think that this person is going to change their opinion, but you're trying to give the audience something to think about, you can't just be asking questions. You have to give something to the audience to take home and think about, right? So it depends on the context, right? Go on.
Yeah, that's actually exactly my experience. I think there's two ways that this works. Number one is if you're just talking to nobody in particular, where you're just kind of expressing your views in a book or on social media or wherever, right? That is something that people take privately because, they don't have to talk to it. They don't have to perform. They can just look at that, and that can be influential. And the second thing is if you're talking to somebody one-on-one without an audience. When the performative element is removed, when you're not performing in front of anybody, then people are much more receptive to listening to ideas and adopting them. People do. They do it a lot. And it's like, oh, you can't change minds. No, you can. I mean, we wouldn't be here if you couldn't. Stony Lonesome saying, do you guys think Hindus and Muslims taking pages out of each other's books in terms of politics, religion, and ideology?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I think mostly it's Hindus taking pages out of Islam books rather than the other way around.
Yeah.
I don't think Muslims have taken much from Hindus other than blood.
No, but it depends. So, like, the thing with Muslims is it's such a huge worldwide community that Muslims in Turkey Muslims in Pakistan have more in common with Hindus in India than Muslims in Turkey do with Muslims in Pakistan. Let's put it this way. Right, so that's how diverse the Muslim community and the world Muslim community is. So there are Muslims in South Asia who've taken a lot from a lot of the sort of the spiritual and mystic elements from Hinduism, a lot of the traditions, the marriage traditions, that a lot of these celebrations they actually have been influenced by Hinduism throughout the ages. But yes, in terms of the violence and everything, right now the extremist Hindus, the Hindu nationalists, the Hindutva people, are pretty much becoming indistinguishable from Islamic jihadists.
Well, not indistinguishable, but it's not that Hinduism, by the way, has its own...
Becoming.
Yeah, Hinduism, by the way, we're not excusing Hinduism. Hinduism has its own unique, horrific ideas like casteism, wife burning, and a whole bunch of other stuff. It has, by the way, it has wife beating as well, and its own version of
Submission to the
blasphemy,
husband and
submission to, like, without being influenced by Islam. So it does have those, but there are a lot. But the new version of blasphemy and also sex negativity, and honor. There's a lot of things that they are getting out of Islam that wasn't there before. So that is unfortunately. So basically, it had its own brand of toxic ideas, but it's just adding to it. Like, yeah, we need to be more toxic, so let's borrow something from Islam. Okay, here. Oh no, we already did this. Okay, here. What do you think of the protests in Poland over? Oh, we're going to be covering that, by the way, tomorrow on Atheist Republic.
what,
So,
Poland banned abortion?
yeah.
Yeah, I
That's
read
happening.
about that.
Enlightenment values, guys, everywhere are under attack. Everywhere. So, I mean, yeah, we support the protests, obviously.
Yeah, the good thing, by the way, I want to clarify, like, if in the Supreme Court, if the U.S. gets rid of repeals Roe v. Wade, that doesn't mean that it's going to go away from the U.S. completely. It'll probably go away. The abortion will be banned in, I think, a couple of dozen states, but in the rest of the states, depending on the state, it'll still be legal. But they may have restrictions on people traveling from one state to another to get an abortion. And I don't know how they're going to regulate it, but it could be a problem. But yes, Enlightenment values are under attack everywhere. Qasim is saying sanctions are pushing Iran toward China. Is Iran going to be the next North Korea?
I don't think so. I think Iranian people, it's too late for Iran to become like North Korea. I don't think like it will be the Islamic. I mean, I think if it even gets close to becoming like North Korea, way before that, the Iranian people will topple this government. Like I mean, I think we're already getting close to the limit of tolerance. It amazes me how many people in Iran are still tolerating this government, even though they want it removed. They're still, they're still like they're worried about maybe it could get better, right? Maybe it could get better, and it can't. It's not going to get better. Okay, this government in Iran needs to go, but I think that way before it ever gets close to North Korea, there will be enough people in Iran that will have enough for this government. I mean, think about this, Ali. If in Tehran right now, if only 5,000 people storm the residence of Khamenei, just 5,000 people, not millions, just 5,000, right? Even with the military trying to step in or Sepaya Pastaran or whatever, and they start shooting everybody, if only 500 of them make it through out of the 5,000, it would be the end of this government, right? Do you think we're not going to get that if Iran gets close to North Korea situation? It will get that, guys. It takes 5,000 people to storm.
Iranians are really, really ballsy people. Like, if you've seen these protests, I mean, imagine going, like, it's, you protest in the US, you do the Women's March, you do all these, I mean, those are all admirable and it's really important. It's great. But imagine going out and doing this knowing that your government is going to come out and they can shoot you dead, without any consequences, and you're young and you have kids, but you are so driven to do this that you're going to go out and do it. Like, it takes balls to do that. And Iranians have done it over and over and over again.
And
Right?
they will do it more the more you take from them, and the more they have nothing to lose, right?
Yeah.
When you kill their sons and daughters and husbands and wives, when you take their livelihood away from them, the people are like, you know what? There more and more people are going to be like, you know what? I don't care if I die. And the difference is that in Iran, people have seen the potential. They have seen how other people live. They have seen other countries. They know that this is not the right way to live. The difference is that North Koreans, they don't know. They don't know that there's other ways to live, right? And that's why I think Iran will not become like North Korea. North Korea gets to be like North Korea because people think this is how life is. North Koreans think this is normal. This is how you're supposed to live. There's no alternative. But the Iranians know that there's an alternative. There's a hope for a better life. And that's why I don't think Iranian people will let it get, I think they at some point they were going to be like, you know what? This is it. We're done.
Murtad Skeptic is asking, what is something that the two of you very strongly disagree on? Do you remember I think we used to disagree on a lot more before, but I feel like we have influenced each other to some extent in terms that we do see eye to eye. But I will say that if you want to listen to an episode where the disagreements came out, you should listen to the last episode we did with Obeid Omar on
Oh
wokeness.
yes.
That was kind of fun. I was the
Yes.
total villain there, and they were, yeah. And the disagreement there, so I just want to articulate it really, really quickly, just give you the headline. I'm not going to say anything more. Is that both Armin and I actually agree that wokeness is just this irritating, toxic.
Wait, you got cut. You got cut. Say it again. Your audio got choppy for me. Say it again.
Sorry
Okay.
about that, guys. So both Armin and I agree that wokeness, this wokeness cult, is just toxic and it needs to die. Like, we absolutely abhor it. But I compare it to Sharia law, where I think Sharia law is toxic and it needs to die. But I don't see it becoming
You're
the
really
kind
choppy.
of thing. Oh,
All right. So Ali is really cheap.
you can summarize it.
Yeah, so Ali thinks that wokeness is toxic and the ideas are ridiculous. But I think wokeness is a lot more influential than Ali is. I do agree with Ali that the vast majority of the people on the left would not accept woke dogma, and they think they agree that woke dogma, like most people on the left, are not that insane to buy into the woke dogma crap, right? So I don't. But the thing is that even though it's a minority of the people on the left, that minority has, in my opinion, has managed to gain control in some key areas that influences a lot of people globally, right? And mainly in academia and on social media. The woke dogma, the woke cult's philosophy has influenced these two areas in a way that, even though it doesn't represent the vast majority of left-leaning people, it has more influence, way more influence proportional to the number of people that actually believe in it, right? So that's what I think, that it is very influential, even though it's a minority idea.
Yeah, right. But if you want to hear that disagreement, then the last episode with Obeid Omar.
Right. Okay, let's go this one.
Look up. The Maverick is saying, do you not think you are alienating the moderate religious adherents by purposely intending to offend their beliefs? Isn't the end result counterproductive?
Let me tell you, if their moderates think that it's justified, that they get to tell us that they get to demand that we don't insult their ideas, then they're not moderates. They're not moderates, they're radicals, right? They're extremists. If they think that freedom of speech and expression ends when their fifis are hurt, then sorry, you don't get to call yourself a moderate. And and we need to teach them a lesson that they don't get to make demands to us. But Ali, what do you think?
I agree with you. I don't think. I think that it's just, you have to look. We're writing books. We are tweeting. We're making cartoons, and we're doing podcasts. Okay, and we're doing it for a book that tells us we should burn forever. That tells us we should be killed. That tells us that we have gone astray. That tells us that we are the scum of the earth, right? And we should be treated that we're a different status. Who should really be offended here? Who should be the one going out and like if you go talking about chopping heads, who's the person who should be doing it? But we're not. We're just doing podcasts and drawing cartoons and writing books. That's it. That's it. Like, they are not the ones who need to be offended here. They have God on their side. They have a supernatural, like, all-knowing, all-powerful thing, and a long dead prophet who is the 1.6 billion people adhering to it, loads and loads of governments. That's what they have. Right. We just have pens, and that kind of shows you the power. There's a bunch of us, a few people with pens. I mean, your prophet, your God, is such a pussy that he can't even deal with a bunch of people with pens and paintbrushes.
And by the way, we are not alienating. I think strategically, we're getting more people, even from religious people, on our side. We're getting Hindus that tell us, you know what, I don't like your cartoons, but I support your right. We're getting Muslims. We're actually introducing this what freedom of expression actually means to more Muslims and Hindus, right? We do, and we're gonna celebrate them, and we're gonna highlight them. Muslim, Hindu, Christian. Whatever. If you come and see, especially when we defend their rights, right? When we defend their rights to say whatever they want, And we're being consistent with that, right? So we do get allies from them as well. So we're not alienating them. I mean, if we are alienating people who are wanting to take a position against freedom of expression, then that's the cost that we're willing to pay because, fuck
Yeah.
them.
If your prophet can't deal with a cartoon, he's not a real prophet.
No, whatever. I mean, there's no real prophets, but okay.
Yeah.
Okay, next question.
That's true. So, John Vilhar is saying, how are you planning to attack woke dogma if the official religion of YouTube gods is woke dogma? If you will be politically incorrect, you will get your channel deleted.
I mean, we're still here, and we've been fighting woke dogma.
No, but he's right. Like it is true. The problem is that there's a lot of you have censorship, you have problems with algorithms, but from what I know right now, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. I mean, did you see that thing with Jack Dorsey where he testified? And he said that we're going to allow Holocaust denial is allowed. We are just curbing.
Oh God.
Oh crap! Sorry, the big H word. Never mind. And now I said it. Hey, you swore before I did. So
yeah, but this is the worst. This is like the worst thing you could say. But it's fine.
You can't even talk about it. But anyway, he said that H denial is this is so ironic that we're responding to this question.
Right. And we can't say it.
The H denial. So that's what Jack Dorsey is testifying to Congress that we allow that on Twitter, but we're not going to allow misinformation on COVID. We're not going to allow misinformation on the election because the Russia's involved in stuff. And I actually agree with that. I don't think. People should be able to draw cartoons. People should be able to deny the H cost, like whatever it is. That's a completely different thing. People should be able to do that. The only way to fight bad ideas is with good ideas. Right. Yeah, you have to be able to do it. But I think that they're figuring it out. YouTube and Twitter and Facebook. It has really annoyed a lot of us. But to their credit, every time we've been banned or thrown down or anything like that has happened, ultimately so far, even through a lot of annoyance, it's been infuriating at times, it's come back.
We haven't, but we wouldn't, our growth, we would have been a lot bigger if these things were not in front of us. Like
that's right. Yeah. So I think it needs to work. And by the way, this woke dogma, the only way it's going to die is if you take away the oxygen from it, and the oxygen for it is the fact
Trump.
that, yes, the extreme right has taken over the mainstream conservatives. Okay,
I was gonna say that after you were done, but so
yes, the woke dogma has not taken over mainstream liberalism. If it had, Biden would not have won. Right, Bernie would have won. But it just hasn't. It does not.
But it is growing. But its influence is growing among mainstream people because they're
in universities and yeah.
No, but even other mainstream people, if they're giving into it, sometimes it's because like, oh my God, Trump. Like maybe you guys are right. So I think I'm hoping that if you eliminate the boogeyman from the equation, a lot of these more mainstream leftists are gonna stop giving into woke dogma. I'm hoping that's what's gonna happen.
Right. And the thing is, if you have mainstream liberals in power and then you have the woke left, there's already a civil war between liberals anyway, right? And they're looking for a chance to take on the far left. And the only way that'll happen is if they're the only two things left. So just have to get rid of Trump. Katie Rin is saying, do you think the U.S. will get involved in Nagorno-Karabakh? That's the Azerbaijan and Armenian conflict. If the 20% chance of Trump winning comes true, I don't think so.
Okay, so here's the thing. I think there's a chance that the timing of the conflict was on purpose during U.S. elections so that the U.S. doesn't get involved. There's a chance to that, right? But we don't know. I mean, yeah, it might be. I'm not sure though. Okay, this is the conspiracy theory right now. By the way, when I scrolled down, I lost a whole bunch of comments. So if I miss yours, please ask it again. Let's do a Facebook one. Oh.
All right. So Narn On is saying Ali is doing shitty apologetic Muhammad barbarity. Islam is both. It's very clear from the Sirats and Hadith. So I think he's talking about when I said that there was a hippie version and there was a military version of Islam.
Ali is right.
It's actually Yeah,
I would never.
the Meccan surahs, it's clear, you know, like whether you have Ya Yohannas, which means like oh mankind, and then that was in the Meccan, and then you had a Ya Ayyuhal Mu'mineen, which is Medinan surahs, which means oh you believers. I mean, it completely went from a universal hippie type thing to a tribal thing. I mean, there's clear evidence and documentation of that. I don't think this is controversial at all.
Okay, so this question, but by the way, guys, sorry if I missed some questions. StreamYard just jumped down and I missed a whole bunch. But this question always pisses me off. Is the killing one person means killing whole humanity versus Meccan or Medina? Guys, this verse is not as peaceful as you think it is. Okay, this verse in the Quran was not. Wait, was it Medina? I think it was Medini. Okay, but this verse in the Quran is talking about God's commandment to the Jews, not to the whole mankind. Okay, this God told the Jews this, and if you read the verse after, it actually tells you to kill people. The very verse after this verse is telling God is commanding you to crucify people. Do people not? This is the same verse that Obama read was it in Congress, Ali? That he was trying to say how peaceful Islam is. First of all,
Yeah.
even if you are on the side of like being peaceful and non-violence, and you were saying this is a good verse, it doesn't make any sense. Even if you wanted to take one out of context, right? This is the dumbest way to defend peace and non-violence. Killing one person is not like killing the whole humanity. Okay, I'm pretty sure killing the whole humanity is way worse than killing one person. Okay. Even if you want to be pro not killing, this is a dumb way of saying it, right? So that's one thing. Second of all, this is what religious Ali, can I'm hearing echo. This is what religious people say, like out of context, you're taking the verse out of context, and then they use this verse for us to say like, oh, look how peaceful Islam is. Take this verse in context. If you read the actual surah in context, if you the verses before and after it, you can see that God is talking to Bani Israel. Bani Israel means the Jews, right? No, God is telling you that this is something that God commanded to the Jews, and the Jews didn't follow God's commandments. Okay, so when they say, "Oh, Armin, why are you saying that Muhammad did this, said this, and that? That was for only a specific people at a specific time." Well, and they're wrong. A lot of those verses are for all people at all times. But this is one of the actual verses that is very clear. The Quran, if you read it, if you read the Quranic verse, that specific non-killing part, Quran makes it clear that this was a commandment for specific people before Islam at a certain time. Okay, and actually, the origin of this verse is a Jewish scripture as well. This is where the Quran copied this verse from. But the very verse after, wait. Do we have the verse after? This one is Quran.
I have them both open so I can read them out. And first of all, you were right. This is a Medinian verse. Okay, so and it actually appears almost verbatim in the oral Torah. So the oral Torah, this is actually plagiarized pretty much directly from the oral Torah.
Yeah, so well, not actually the written Torah, the commentary around it, but go on.
So I'll read out verses 5:30. So this is Surah Ma'idah, which is a Medinian surah, 32 and 33. So I'll read out the full verse and then we can talk about it. So the Sahih International Translation, 5:32. Because of that, we decreed upon the children of Israel that whoever kills a soul, unless for a soul or for corruption, done in the land, it is as if he had slain mankind entirely. And whoever saves one, it is as if he had saved mankind entirely. And our messengers had certainly come to them with clear proofs that indeed many of them, even after that, throughout the land, were transgressors. So there's a qualification here, right?
Right.
And the qualification is... Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, the key part is that we decreed upon children of Israel. Ala Bani Israel, right? The children of Israel means the Jews, right? And again, so this was a rule for a specific people at a certain time. And again, the whole theme of the Bible, the whole theme of the Quran is that there were certain rules for the Jews, which was God's chosen people. God said, "You are my chosen people. All you have to do is follow these rules." And they betrayed God by not following these rules. That doesn't mean that those are the rules for everybody. Even the Quran is making it clear that these were specifically the rules for the Jews. But go on.
Okay, now here's the next verse. So when you're talking about taking it in context, let's look at this 532.
The next verse is the rule for everyone now. This is the rule a God is saying to the world. How do the world should behave? But go on.
Indeed, the penalty for those who wage war against, this is 533. Indeed, the penalty for those who wage war against Allah and His Messenger and strive upon earth to cause corruption is none but that they be killed or crucified, or that their hands and feet be cut off from opposite sides, or that they be exiled from the land.
You got cut. Say that again. You got cut.
I got cut when I was talking about getting their hands and feet cut.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So indeed, the penalty for those who wage war against Allah and His Messenger and strive upon earth to cause corruption is none but that they be killed or crucified, or that their hands and feet be cut off from opposite sides, or that they be exiled from the land. That is for them a disgrace in this world, and for them in the hereafter is a great punishment. So what it's saying in the first verse is that anybody who's killed somebody, killed somebody except, for causing corruption in the land or whatever, this person is like they've saved all of humanity. But you have to remember what they meant by corruption at that time, right? If you were gay, that's considered corruption. If you're blasphemer, considered corruption. If you fornicated, that's considered a corruption. If you took interest, right? If you were a bank that you actually used the system of interest, that's causing corruption. So that actually includes a lot of people, what they considered innocent people back then, right? That is not the same definition of what innocent people are today. So.
Okay, so objective reality saying forget freedom of speech. Isn't the freedom to even think out loud at stake with Islam? Isn't that more fundamental to Islamic values?
Same thing.
Same thing, yeah.
Freedom of speech. And when you think out loud,
that's
freedom of speech.
Yeah. Alex saying, I think asking questions can give people something to take home. It can instill a doubt. Yeah, it can, but I think, again, when people are watching two people debate, they want to see who comes out as, coming up with the best points, I mean, Alex, you're right, it can, but I think you lose a major opportunity if you don't give more for the audience to take home than just questions. Should the Vatican be shut down? It explores corruption, greed, and rape all over. Yeah, it should have been. It should be shut down. Any other organization that did half, that 1/10 of what the papacy had done would have been the doors. The people, the heads would be in handcuffs, and the doors would be nailed ages ago. So
can you imagine if Nike or Microsoft, had a whole network of people molesting children, like their authorities molesting children, sexually molesting children. It was accepted, and the only thing that happened to these executives is they didn't go to jail. They just got moved from one branch to another, and this was going on for decades. Can you imagine which organization would survive that scandal? Right.
Do you think China is an atheist country or not? Yeah, it is an atheist country, and we condemn Chinese government. We don't play tribalism. We just because it's an atheist. I don't like it when atheists were like, "Oh no, China is not an atheist regime." No, it is an atheist regime. Okay, we're not gonna try to dance around it just because we're atheists. We're not gonna be like, "Oh no, these are not true atheists." No, if they don't believe in God, they are atheists, right? What do you think, Ali?
Yeah, I agree with you. They're an atheist country.
Yep, they're a shitty.
The problem with if anything is enforced, like Albania, which is actually a majority Muslim country, is the only country in the history of the world to ever have enforced atheism as a state religion. Enforced atheism, and it was horrible. Should not be done. That was one of the problems with communism too. Banning religions, that's not the way that you do things.
Yes. Again, just because you're an atheist, you don't have to defend every single atheist out there, or you don't have to pretend people who are actually atheists and doing horrible things. You don't have to go pretend like they weren't atheists, right?
Yeah, this is about atheism. It's not about atheists. Right. Yamin Hamid is saying, "Hi, do you think secularism is at war with religions? If no, then why? If yes, then what will be the role of secular jihadists in that regard?" This is a good question, Yamin, and I'll say one thing. Secularism is the only system that allows freedom of religion and freedom to challenge religion, both. Like there's no theocracy. Every theocracy is going to privilege one religion over the other. Secularism, separation of religion and state, allows for the most religious freedom of any system. And again, religious freedom in quotes, but it's the only thing that allows everybody to be able to practice what they believe. And the role of secular jihadists is to fight for separation of religion and state. It's not to fight against people practicing the religion in their own time. It's to fight and wage a jihad, a war, to try and get more people to separate religion and state, especially in the places where we grew up.
But not just secularism, all Enlightenment values.
All Enlightenment values, yeah.
Secularism is one of the important ones, but the most important one is freedom of expression. All right,
Yes.
this is for you, Ali.
Hussein Rahman, do you think Imran Khan can push Pakistan in a more enlightened direction, or is it a failed state? Man, Hussein, right now it's really looking like it's heading towards a failed state. I mean, Pakistan, the only reason that they're together is because Islam was the only thing that could glue them together. It's basically there's at least 4 different ethnic tribes in the 4 different provinces with 4 different languages. It's a very disjointed country. They're warring against each other. Most recently, I should say this, Imran Khan responded to all of this stuff that's happening in France, the killing of the cartoons, by writing to Mark Zuckerberg and saying they should ban, people making cartoons, writing to Emmanuel Macron and saying that, you have to deal with Islamophobia. He's saying all of this crap. He is the biggest ally of China, who is waging a war on Uyghur Muslims. Like, this guy, I'm sorry, Imran Khan, right? And I like some things about you, but this is just absolute hypocritical idiocy. You're complaining about Islamophobia in France, where people are getting murdered over drawing cartoons by Islamic fundamentalists, and you are never going to say anything about the genocide against the Uyghur Muslims.
Well, he was pushed to writing a letter,
camps.
though. Like, first he said, I don't know, that was dumb, though. Like, first he'd ask him, like, hey, what about Uyghur Muslims? He said, like, hey, I don't know what you're talking about. And then they said, like, they pushed him, and he said, like, well, I looked into it, but I don't know enough to talk about it. And then they pushed him again. He said, I looked into it, but I can't say anything about it because of our relationship with China. He openly said that. And then eventually they wrote China finally, hey, China, maybe no, a little bit. And then China came so aggressive against him. And was like, oh my God, sorry, China, please, like, we love you. So it was really bad.
Bullshit. It's bullshit. Like, you have to get a Pakistani ID card or the passport application, you have to sign a statement declaring that Ahmadi Muslims are not Muslim and that their prophet was an imposter. Right. Why do I have to do that if I'm trying to get a passport?
Right.
Get rid of that. You can easily do it. Imran Khan, you can do it with the stroke of a pen. You can get rid of that completely.
Muslims are oppressed in Pakistan for being the wrong type of Muslim, way more than Muslims are oppressed in France.
Yes.
Muslims are more oppressed in Islamic countries than in secular countries. Muslims are better off in France than they are in Pakistan. So go fuck yourself.
The only thing I will say is that I think that he does work behind the scenes. Like, I know some things about him that I know that he thinks a little bit differently behind the scenes, and he has to do what he does politically. Like with the Asia Bibi release and everything, I think that he was behind that. But man, it's just this is Anyway, let's move on.
This one and then.
Yeah, Qasim is saying, has anyone been punished for Fakande's murder? Afghan girl who offended Quran and got killed by people brutally. I don't know about this story and the stuff.
I think this is the recent. Is this the recent one that the girl that somebody got lynched? I don't know, but we're going to be following up on that. If that's the recent one that just happened, we saw that, we published it on Atheist Republic, and we're going to be covering it. And Ali and I will tell you more about it if we once we. I don't know if this is the same news that I think it is, but we are looking into that. Again, there's so many things happening, but we will definitely touch up on this. James
is saying, Aereo magazine published why 14 critics of social justice think you shouldn't vote for Trump. Have you seen it? I think it hit the nail on the head. Actually, Helen Pluckrose wrote to me to ask me to contribute to this, and I missed the email. because we miss emails, and I know Armin does the same thing. So I'm trying to make myself not feel so bad. But I did read the article, and I think it was excellent. So I'm really glad, and I shared it. And Steven Pinker's on there, Sarah Hayter's on there. A lot of really good people are on there, and they make really good points. And I'm glad they took that initiative. The Maverick.
I'm going to respond to this saying, what are your views on Buddhism and Sikhism, and why are you so cautious in speaking about Judaism? First of all, fuck Judaism. Fuck Buddhism, and fuck Sikhism. We've been calling all of these out all the time.
We're anti-theists. Yeah, like
right.
Religions are... Yeah.
No, yeah, fuck Judaism up the ass. So, Judaism is a barbaric, backward, dangerous ideology that needs to be eliminated. So there you go. We're not very cautious. There's certain keywords that people think that if we say them that we're being anti-Semitic or something like that. So we're being strategic not to get eliminated.
We're not talking about Jews. We're talking about the book.
We're talking about the ideas, okay? We're talking about dangerous ideas, and obviously Judaism is one of the worst ideas out there, okay?
Killing gay people, killing blasphemers, the same stuff as Islam. Islam was plagiarized from Judaism. It's the same stuff.
Yeah, so it is barbaric, it is violent, and we do not. What we are cautious about is not losing our platform. We think it's moronic that these platforms have these rules for us to use certain keywords, and all of a sudden we get completely removed from these platforms. We don't endorse it. We're against it. But obviously, it's stupid of us not to consider them for us to be able to do our activism. Like it's one thing to stand your ground and fight back. It's another thing to completely eliminate yourself and making yourself completely unable to spread your values. Okay, so those are two different things. We're just being strategic. But once we know what the rules are, we still try to we still say the things that we need to say. Try to play around the algorithm or whatever the things that could get us the platform. Whatever, when we figure out what it is, how can we say the things we want to say without getting removed? We do say it, right? We don't. I have so many programs against Judaism on Atheist Republic. I went to Israel. I went and talked. I have interviews with atheists and secular activists against Judaism in Israel. I've been on the ground and made documentaries about that. So fuck you for even suggesting that. But anyways, Jim King.
Jim King is saying, you will say to yourself later, I should have said this or this person later, but can you name 3 people on Twitter who you think are worth following? Aside from each other, I guess, Armin? Do you have 3?
Myself, Ali Rizvi, Susanna.
No, but aside from us.
Oh,
aside from you and me.
Susanna, Sarah Hayder, Muhammad Sayed, Apostle Prophet, Harris Sultan, Abdullah Samir.
Yeah, my God. This is a tough one. There's so many of them. I would say, look, so I guess aside from all of this stuff, so all of the ex-Muslims, I can't... all of these ex-Muslim activists, I didn't lump them all together and make that one. The second one I would say is Nate Silver. Follow him. And the third one, I'd say Richard Dawkins, probably still. Doesn't tweet very often, but the stuff he shares usually I really like. But I'm sure I'm going to say someone else later. Katie Rin is saying, I know I said this before, but I really want you to have an episode with Peter Friedrich. I remember I wrote that down. Only John Del Vento had him on, but we need better people to discuss the info he has.
Good idea.
Peter Friedrich, and this, I can't remember what context it was in, but I have it written down.
Write it. Yeah, okay. Yeah, invite him. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Anyways, I need to go to pee soon, so let's just do a few more questions before.
Okay, we're going to be regulated here by not by the YouTube gods, but by Armin's bladder. Okay, KT Rin again. Do you think this backlash against France, and if people start calling out their hypocrisy for criminalizing flag burning and big H denial, would make them decriminalize them? I don't get the question. Do you get it?
Yeah, no,
it's written in a weird.
Let's go. Next
okay,
one.
Vasundara is saying, how would you respond to the argument that Muhammad wasn't responsible for the Banu Qurayza massacre because a Jewish judge gave the punishment based on Jewish law for high treason? Yeah, that's the argument, and it's.
He said Muhammad is on record saying that Allah agrees with the punishment.
Yeah.
He said he was happy with it. He said he's happy with it, and he says Allah agrees with it. So I don't know what that is.
Yeah, you can't say he wasn't responsible because Muhammad went against a lot of. Remember, people were burying their daughters alive, and Muhammad's like, "No, we can't do this," and he wouldn't do it. There's a lot of things that if he didn't like, he didn't do. So if he didn't like this punishment, then he shouldn't have done it. He's the prophet of God; he can do whatever he wants. But he did it because he agreed with it, and he thought it was the right thing to do to kill hundreds of Jews, and that's why he did it.
Jimmy London is another good one to follow. Yes.
Yes, Jimmy London for sure.
Jimmy London.
All of those, all of that crowd.
Yes.
You know, Harris and all the people that you mentioned.
By the way, Yasmin Muhammad unfollowed me after I criticized her, and she unfollowed me on Twitter.
Yeah, me too. So, whatever.
I don't
Let's
know.
go on.
She's a bit sensitive. All right. Okay, that's it. No more questions.
No more questions. We didn't get anything about the U.S. election. It's in 4 days. Actually, we did, but they They weren't tagged with secular jihadists.
All right, this is actually a good time because that was I'm reaching my limit of. So this is good.
Can I plug something? Can I plug something really quick before you go? On Sunday night. Okay, that's 2 days before the U.S. election. For those people who are interested in this whole election thing and the politics, I've got Mookie Spitz coming, and Mookie Spitz is a strategist who also worked briefly for the Andrew Yang campaign. And then I also have filmmaker Jay Shapiro, who's been here on our show, and he directed Islam as the Future of Tolerance. Jay thinks that Trump is going to win, absolutely. Jay thinks that Trump is going to lose, absolutely. And Mookie is also a liberal, but who voted for Biden, but he thinks that Trump is going to win again, and they're going to talk about why. So both of them are going to be. That's going to be Sunday night at I think we're doing 9:30 p.m. So Sunday night, November 1st.
What's the name of the channel again?
My channel is it's called Professional Novice with Ali A. Rizvi. So
all right, go guys, go subscribe. Go subscribe to Ali Rizvi's channel.
And subscribe to Atheist Republic.
If you search for Ali Rizvi, wouldn't that be the first thing that shows up? No, there you have too much.
No, you're gonna see the Wikipedia, all the other stuff, all the stuff about the book. But just do it. I think it's gonna be a fun discussion. Yeah. Yes. I'll announce it anyway.
We should start linking this, linking our own personal stuff in the description below as well. So next time, remind me, Ali, to put this in the description. So next time when you say like, "Oh, follow me on Ali Rizvi's professional," I just say, "Guys, link in the description." Okay, so we'll for future episodes we'll include all the links in the description.
Yeah. But this is just for this specific episode if you guys are interested in the election. All right, guys. All right. Take care. That was fun.
Yes. Talk to you guys
Armin,
later. Bye.
You
subscribe,
can go
guys. Share this video. Subscribe to us. And you can support us now, not just by being Patreon, but also becoming a YouTube member. It helps us actually notice your comments more when we do live streams like this. Anyways, bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.